Hello?
Hello?
Hi.
Is this Billy?
Yes.
Hi, my name is Steve Harris. I'm an interpreter for Rocking On Magazine.
Hi, Steve.
Hi. Billy, I've been provided with a list of questions by the magazine, and since I'm not the guy that thought these up, there may be some inconsistencies, and you might be able to help me out on a point or two.
All right.
Let's see here. All right. The guy notes here that I guess you lopped off most of your hair. He said he saw a picture of you recently. You've trimmed your hair, it says. Is there any special reason for that?
No.
No, just going for a new look, I guess, huh?
Yeah.
I guess you wanted to start this off on a light tone.
Yeah.
The second album, Siamese Dream, is, he says, the first album, Gish, was a great album, but this is even better. Did recording go off without a hitch?
No, there were problems, but nothing that, didn't keep the album from getting finished.
What sort of problems did you encounter?
Oh, your typical internal band strife.
Huh. I mean, internal band strife is not that typical in many cases. What sort of specific problems were going on?
I don't want to talk about it anymore. I've given a lot of interviews where I talked about it in specifics, and I just decided I don't want to talk about it anymore.
Okay, but has the band gotten over those difficulties?
Yeah, because we're not recording an album right now.
Oh, I see. So it was a sort of a recording-specific mode you were in.
Right.
Yeah.
That's when we have our most of our difficulties.
But now the album is completed. You guys are just back to normal.
Yeah, we're just on tour kind of thing, which is a lot. It's a different mode to be in as a band.
The themes or the concepts for this album. Did you just come up with those like right before you went into the studio, or did you spend a lot of time thinking about those?
No, I spent a lot of time. I mean, they were born over a couple of years of thinking about what the next album was going to be about.
Specifically, how long an interval was there between the first and second albums?
In terms of being done and then going to do a new one, a year and a half.
Was that ample time for you, or did you want a little bit more time, or were you itching to get back in the studio? Or
no, it was plenty of time. It probably should have been shorter, but I freaked out. So.
You freaked out, meaning?
Well, I lost my mind.
Was that pressure because of the new album, or was there something else?
It was life and album combined. Yeah.
Well, sometimes people say that's when they create their best or most.
Don't believe it. Don't believe it.
So you got through musically. You got through that period in spite of the breakdown, rather than because of it.
I tend to think of it that way. Yeah.
But you don't think that you will have made your most enduring music as a result of that?
No, because the pain that I'm talking about has a lot more to do with my past than it does the present. So.
Okay. On Disarm, I guess this is the name of a song.
Yeah.
You use strings, which is I guess something you haven't tried before.
So that's incorrect.
Okay. Well.
Because there's strings on the first album. So I know you didn't write these questions, but a lot of people have made points of that, and it just seems silly to me because there were strings on the first album too.
Is that right? Well, maybe people want to believe that you've become more sophisticated, or
Yeah, I understand. I don't know. It's just I don't think it's that surprising if you think of music, but in a rock context, people are kind of surprised by it. I just don't think it's that big a deal. It's just if it's not a cello, it's a guitar. It doesn't really matter.
But are there more strings on this album, or is it about the same as before?
It's a little more lush sounding. But the only point I would draw from it is the idea that I don't really care whether the band can recreate the album live. It's not important to me anymore. So. Is
that right? Well, have you guys taken to the road since completing this album, or is there?
Oh yeah.
And how do the songs work in a live context?
We just play them with a different kind of point of context kind of thing. I mean, if you like for example with Disarm on the album, it's a very kind of lush string arrangement and has a lot of tension to it. Live we play it very bare bones, and it has a different kind of more in your face kind of tension because it's just guitar, voice, and drums and bass. So so it brings different essences out of the song. So that's why I'm not too hung up about it, because I think you can, by being forced to play the song differently with musical instrumentation, it brings out a different perspective on the song.
So in the case of Smashing Pumpkins, you guys are a different live band than you are on vinyl.
I'd say maybe like 80%. 80% the same, 20% different. Not tremendously different, but there is a different perspective. Yeah. We're a lot more aggressive live than we are on album.
Is that like a balance you'd like to keep, or would you like to see the two sides of the band sort of coincide more?
The way we're going, I only see the gap growing.
What do you think would account for that? More, you can do more stuff in the studio, and
I want to take advantage of the opportunity I have in the studio, and there's things that you could do in a controlled environment that you could never do live.
But do you think the average fan would have to come to a Pumpkin show to actually get the true essence of the band?
Well, see, I mean, to me, I think you've got to hear and see both. I think the sum of the two is probably what the band is truly. Being a rock band, it's not as easy in a live context to be subtle, because you've got people screaming, jumping up and down, and not necessarily in Japan, but at least in America and Europe, and so there's a different emphasis placed on the band to be more powerful and get across that way. Where an album, you don't have to necessarily reach for all those things to make those kinds of points. And so maybe in contrast to what we do live, maybe on the album we go a little further to show other elements of the band. So.
How about you as a fan? Have you always been smitten with bands or Dynamite Live? Or have you always been much of a concert goer, or were you more the record type?
Both. See, I the greatest bands to me transferred something in both ways. I mean, there's something about a band that's a great live band that puts out shitty records. There's a hole there. And same thing, if you listen to a record and it sounds great, and you see the band live and the band blows, then somehow it's not complete. But when a band can put it together on album, and then somehow, I mean, you can listen to a record up and down, and then you go see the band live, and somehow they take your perception of the album and expand and kind of twist it around. That's for me is really the mark of a great band.
That's interesting. Do any bands come to mind?
The best recent example would be Jane's Addiction, but they're really no more. I can't think of anybody right now that really does that. There's not too many bands that are really have that kind of mindset. One, because it takes a certain kind of non-indie kind of approach to be that kind of band, and a lot of bands these days are more concerned about maintaining their punk rock public posture.
So they're not supposed to compromise.
Well, and they're not supposed to, people put out pop records and then go on the road and try and turn them into punk rock shows. There's not a sophistication there. To me, it deals more in bass element, kind of, okay, time to be loud, and I don't know. That's what I'm saying. For a band to expand on your perceptions of what the band is, the band has to be pretty sophisticated to go beyond, because that means rearranging songs and changing the intent and the musical thrust of songs from show to show, and that takes a lot of work.
And that's obviously something you're striving for. Huh?
Yeah, I really, and I talk to enough people to